Yes, I think the fact that Americans hate this bill. I'm co-chair of the Rural Health Caucus. I've been all around rural Minnesota. A lot of Trump voters hate this. I mean, obviously, if you have 17% approval for this, Trump's approval ratings are in the mid to high 30s. That means most Trump supporters hate this bill because they know it means that they may very well lose their coverage, and if to get the coverage, it'll cost them a lot more money. This is the exact opposite of what they were promised. They hate this, and that's why they're having trouble getting 50 votes.
Senator Al Franken of Minnesota, I know it's going to be a long night tonight, so thank you for making time to talk to us.
Thank you, Rachel.
Much more next week.
I realize that $100,000 is not exactly affordable.
103.
Let me ask you this. How long did it take you to say that?
A long time.
That it's a fortune.
I'm sure you talk to people all the time who think $100,000 is just pocket change.
Right now, you're just talking to me.
I told you that first.
Yes, you did. Getting closer to your investment goals starts with a conversation. Schedule a complimentary group planning session today. This year, let's go fly fast. The opportunity here is better. Mercedes-Benz. Get your team today. Everyone wants to see you happy. And start firing up those wheels. Is the GLE 350 Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Same hotel, same price? No. There's a bunch of different prices out there all over the internet. Trivago instantly compares them to find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago. Well, I had tons of stuff to do. But no easy way to do it. So I started Scotty. And Scotty lets me make great looking photos with tons of big pockets and unique features. Visit ScottyEvents.com right now for a 30% off with many. When you're close to the people you love, this reminds us of getting the way that's what you want. If you have confidence to severe psoriasis, you can embrace the chance of completely clear skin with Taltz. Taltz is proven to give you a chance at completely clear skin. With Taltz, up to 90% of patients have a significant improvement in their psoriasis plaques. In fact, 4 out of 10 even achieved completely clear skin. Do not use if you are allergic to Taltz. Before starting, usually check for tuberculosis. Taltz may increase your risk of infections and already overlooking heart attack. Tell your doctor if you are being treated for an infection or have symptoms, or if you have received a vaccine or plan to. If others or bowel disease connected with Taltz, including or severe symptoms, serious allergic reactions, now's your chance at completely clear skin. Just ask your doctor about Taltz.
This year, only 2 states are holding elections for governor. One is Virginia, where Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe is being term limited out. The other one is New Jersey. Who's the governor of New Jersey? Two-term Republican Governor Chris Christie finishing his second and final term in office, finishing out with approval ratings so low they look like shoe sizes, not full results. There have been a lot of bad headlines for Chris Christie in his second term as governor, but the bad news that started all the rest of the bad news was Bridgegate. All right, this was from when when he was running for re-election, his campaign and his administration tried to pressure the Democratic mayor of one New Jersey town into endorsing Chris Christie's re-election. The mayor said no. Christie administration struck back. That mayor's town had access lane, a traffic lane that fed cars from that town onto the George Washington Bridge, which is the busiest bridge in the world. Christie administration shut that lane down to punish that town and its mayor for not endorsing Christie. They deliberately bricked traffic for days in order to punish that town. And you know, it's not like anybody has a constitutional right to an access lane onto the George Washington Bridge. But public officials closing down that traffic lane, that public accommodation, as a form of political revenge, and then behind that trying to cover it up, that is an abuse of power. That's corruption. And sure enough, the Department of Justice decided those were grounds for federal charges. The Bridgegate scandal ended up with 3 of Governor Christie's appointees or staffers pleading guilty or getting convicted on federal corruption charges. One of the people whose name came up hundreds of times at the Bridgegate trials, a person who was never actually charged with anything, but who was fired by the governor for his role in the scandal, was Christie's campaign director, a man named Bill Stepien. Bill Stepien did avoid Bridgegate charges, but you know what became of him 2 months after the Bridgegate trials? White House. White House, baby. As Andrew Bernstein, Bridgegate reporter from WNYC, reminded everybody today, after the Bridgegate trials, Bridgegate figure, Bill Stepien, became the White House National Political Director. The person in the White House who has been designated as the National Political Director is the guy who Chris Christie fired for his behavior during the Bridgegate scandal. I was reminded of this turn of events all over again today when news broke in Alaska's biggest newspaper, the Alaska Dispatch News, this morning. Quote, Trump administration threatens retribution against Alaska over Murkowski votes. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, she's been one of the holdouts from the Republican Party on the health care bill. She and Senator Susan Collins of Maine have been joining the rest of their party in trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act, at least the way the Republicans want to. Now, in response, the Trump administration is threatening Alaska. Quote, early Wednesday, Trump took to Twitter to express displeasure with Lisa Murkowski's vote. By that afternoon, each of Alaska's 2 Republican senators had received a phone call from Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke, letting them know that that vote from Lisa Murkowski put Alaska's future with the administration in jeopardy. The president had his cabinet secretary call Alaska senators specifically in response to Murkowski's healthcare vote to tell them that stuff that they're working on for Alaskans is now on the line because of her vote. And the ADM listed them out, nominating Alaskans to posts at the Department of the Interior, a road that the Alaskans want built over some federal land, a whole bunch of other regulatory issues that the senators have prioritized that they need the administration's help on for the good of Alaska. The administration is basically saying, nice state we got here. Shame something to do it. This is Bridgegate North. Right? This isn't just something that Governor Christie's staff got dinged for in New Jersey. Some of them were investigated and federally prosecuted with prison convictions and all for doing basically this exact same thing. Of course, not everybody got a prison sentence. One of them got to the White House. And now, I should mention another Bridgegate figure, Governor Christie's personal lawyer, who represented him for Bridgegate, is about to be an FBI director. That'd be exciting. And the FBI will look differently on these matters in the future. Now we're starting to see what happens when Christie politics enter the White House. Watch this space.
Sponsored by Infinity. Empower the drive.
Impressive performance in the season section. Right now, we see QX60 for $439. At your local Infinity retailer.
A song is so much more than one thing. More than one flavor, or texture, or color. It's the
to your doorstep. At GlassesUSA.com, you can choose from thousands of styles. See how the frames look on your face, and get your new pair online, starting at $48. Go to GlassesUSA.com and get 50% off your first pair.
Dogs love my nutritious treats.
New real meat treats from Rachel Reagan Trish, inspired by recipes from Rachel's Kitchen. U.S. beef or chicken is the first ingredient. Treats from Trish. Real recipes, real ingredients, real good. Register today at Elite Signals. You'll benefit from 100% verified profiles, an extensive personality test, and tailored matches in your area. EliteSignals.com. Never more ready to fall in love again. Steve was born to move. Over the course of 9 days, he runs 26.2 miles. That's a marathon. Because he chooses to walk whenever he can. And he does it with support from Dr. Scholl's. Only Dr. Scholl's has massaging gel insoles that provide all the comfort to keep him feeling more energized. So he even has the energy to take the long way. Keep it up, Steve. Dr. Scholl's, born to move.
NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is in Moscow right now. He is putting the finishing touches on another episode of his new show On Assignment. And he's in Russia, he's back in Russia. And he's done some really interesting work about Russian interference in our election and some of the ongoing questions about what happened there and what happened in the aftermath there, specifically in Russia. You might remember after the election, one of the stories that we covered in terms of strange dealings in Russia that maybe as Americans we should start paying more attention to. That after our election, I think it was in December, we found out after the fact, several weeks after it happened, that there had been a handful of arrests in Russia, including a couple of senior FSB officers. Remember the story about there was a meeting, senior high-level FSB meeting in December, and officers burst into the room where there was this FSB meeting happening. They threw a bag over the head of a senior Russian intelligence official, and they dragged him out of the meeting in front of all the other FSB guys. Well, we later found out that that guy, who they dragged out of the back on his head, he, senior FSB official, another FSB official, and two other Russians, including one who worked for a very controversial software company. Not only were all those folks arrested in December after our election, they were all charged with treason, which is very rare, and which means the Russian state is saying absolutely nothing about the accusations against these guys on the trial. Richard spoke to a lawyer for one of them, who was afraid to tell him very much. He wouldn't even say which of the four men who were arrested is his client.
I can't be completely clear with you and say much about this case because it's quite dangerous. This will be for me, my client, and
Why would it be dangerous for me? I consider your clients in jail.
it's a quite sensitive information. And it's considered like a state secret in Russia.
I'm telling you, whether or not you have watched the other Richard Engel series and the On Assignment thing, you need to watch this on the show tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, right here at 9 p.m. Eastern, here on MSNBC, On Assignment with Richard Engel, and you're not where you do not miss it. That does it for us tonight. I will see you again shortly. Now it's time for the last word before it's about
Good evening, Rachel. And Richard Engel is reporting tonight that in capitals around the world, U.S. intelligence is picking up the fact that they are worried about the chaos in the White House. From Anthony through to Jeff Sessions, that they are seeing chaos in the government where they've never seen that.
one of the best history books I continue to believe that will ever be written about this era in American history will be written about foreign officials and foreign governments trying to figure out what the United States means anymore and how they need to adjust international relations, their bilateral relationships with us as a country, given what happened with our government.
Imagine, Rachel, translators around the world reading their translations the Scaramucci quotes today to world leaders?
Yeah. You know, as you know, I blush easily once, so I had a hard time. I didn't even try to pronounce what he said in that interview, but even just trying to learn enough about human anatomy to figure out what he was suggesting Steve Bannon was doing with himself, that enough set me like I had to go walk around the halls for a half an hour and just not think.
Well, I was going to break it up, but Steve Bannon can't do it. Okay, so you stop thinking about it. It's an impossibility. Just get it out of your head. Just cleanse your mind.
Gone. Preach. It's gone. Thank you.
The Anthony Scaramucci story is actually not a staff story. That's not what this is. It is about the President of the United States. It is about the judgment of the President of the United States against the very wise advice of his White House chief of staff. The President decided to hire Anthony Scaramucci to offer him a job in the White House. And the question tonight is, will the President insult the taxpayers of the United States by actually putting Anthony Scaramucci on the White House payroll, make the taxpayers pay this? Will the President allow Anthony Scaramucci to disgrace the White House? That is a question of presidential judgment.
Right. Is a expletive deleted paranoid schizophrenic.
A profanity released tirade from the new White House communications director.
This is where we have come to.
Writes previous, if you want to leak something, he'll be asked to resign very shortly.
We are loyal like brothers.
You needed on air this Wednesday at St. Steve Bannon.
Well, I grew up with A1 from the front stairs.
His title is Communications.
You've seen the president's criticism of you. Do you think it's fair?
Well, it's kind of hurtful.
If Joe Session is fired, there will be total ill pay.
I mean, this is a circular planets club.
This administration is running like a fine-tuned machine.
Disaster after disaster after disaster coming out of the White House.
My start date is going to be a couple of weeks.
Give this, then go ahead and put this man in John Adams' White House.
They will learn anymore. This is the degradation of the presidency.
Anthony Scaramucci does not have a job in the White House. I know that's news to a lot of people. And now he might never have a job in the White House. Everyone treats him now as if he works in the White House, but he doesn't. He's just a visitor. He has been promised the job of directing the communications team. He's behaving as if he already has that job, although he is behaving unlike anyone who has ever actually had that job. He is so far a real-life version of My Cousin Vinny in the White House, which is why I've asked the star of My Cousin Vinny, Joe Pesci, to join us tonight to read Anthony Scaramucci's latest quotes published in the New Yorker, which are dirtier and crazier than anything Joe Pesci has ever said on the phone. Yes, including Goodfellas, and Casino, and Raging Bull. But as you may have noticed, Joe Pesci has basically retired from show business, so we doubt we're going to get lucky and have him call into the reading course. Anthony Scaramucci might be on the verge of finding himself retired from the White House before he actually gets his job in the White House. Anthony Scaramucci is waiting for the completion of the sale of his investment company to a Chinese company before he officially goes on the White House payroll. The sale of his company to a Chinese company must be approved by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. The members of that committee are all Trump cabinet members. Secretary of the Treasury, Steve Mnuchin, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, Defense Secretary James Tillis, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Secretary Rick Perry, and U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer. The head of the Office of Science and Technology Policy is also a member of that committee, but that job is vacant in the Trump administration. Now, normally the work of that committee is done entirely by staff. all done at the staff level. Very little about these cases ever come to the attention of the cabinet members, but this one is different. This is now the highest profile person in the Trump White House, and so the case should be given national scrutiny to make sure that Anthony Scaramucci is not being paid more than the company is worth, so that the Chinese company can curry favor with the Trump administration in order to accomplish who knows what, but possibly certainly including that company's ability to do more business in the United States and buy more assets in the United States that could raise national security issues. This is now the Committee on Foreign Investment's most important case, and it is taking longer than Anthony Scaramucci expected. And that is why last Friday, Anthony Scaramucci seized the microphone at the White House for the first time. Anthony Scaramucci said this.
I have worked with the Office of Governmental Ethics to take care of all my business conflicts. My start date is not in a couple of weeks, so it's 100% totally cleansed and clean. And I don't see an issue with it. The Office of Governmental Ethics doesn't see an issue with it, nor does the White House Counsel.
They don't see an issue with it as long as the company is sold before Anthony Scaramucci goes on the White House payroll. But since Scaramucci made that announcement, life in the Trump administration has changed dramatically for at least one member on the Committee on Foreign Investment, Attorney General Jeff Sessions. So Anthony Scaramucci has to ask himself tonight, is the Attorney General of the United States in the mood to be helpful to him? Or might the Attorney General want to take a longer look at Anthony Scaramucci's business before he approves the sale to a Chinese company? Secretary of State Rex Tillerson might not be eager to see someone like Anthony Scaramucci go to work in the White House and start saying things about foreign policy that make the Secretary of State's job more difficult than the President already makes it. Some estimates indicate that Anthony Scaramucci stands to take home about $85 million in the sale of his company to the Chinese. Today, the Chinese buyers of Anthony Scaramucci's company might be wondering just how much favor they can win in a Trump administration if Anthony Scaramucci is not in that administration. What Anthony Scaramucci said to Ryan Elizabeth should prevent Anthony Scaramucci from ever working in government at any level, including state, local, and county government. The only place in American government that would hire anyone like Anthony Scaramucci is the Donald Trump White House. Last night, Ryan Elizabeth of the New Yorker tweeted this news. Stuart, Trump is dining tonight with Sean Hannity, Bill Shine, former Fox News executive, and Anthony Scaramucci per two knowledgeable sources. Anthony Scaramucci then called Ryan Elizabeth to find out who his source was. He actually thought that a reporter would simply reveal to him his confidential source. Scaramucci said, "You're an American citizen. This is a major catastrophe for the American country. So I'm asking you as an American patriot to give me a sense of who lived." Anthony Scaramucci thinks that the news that he was having dinner with the president of the country is, quote, a major catastrophe for the American country. And he thinks a reporter, upon hearing that, will tell him who told him about that. Ryan Elizabeth would not tell him the source. Scaramucci said, "Okay, I'm going to fire every one of them, and then you haven't protected anybody, so the entire place will be fired over the next 2 weeks. They'll all be fired by me." Anthony Scaramucci firmly believed that he already knew the answer to this question. He was absolutely convinced before he made the phone call that Reince Priebus was Ryan Elizabeth's source. He said to Ryan Elizabeth, "I'll get to the person who leaked that to you. Reince Priebus, if you want to leak something, he'll be asked to resign very shortly." And then, after predicting that Reince Priebus would be fired, Anthony Scaramucci said, "Reince is an effing paranoid, schizophrenic, a paranoid." This is from the man who is so paranoid about who leaked his dinner with the president and Sean Hannity that he's calling up a reporter and asking the source for that report, and then telling the reporter that he knows who the source is. Ryan Elizabeth confirmed today that Reince Priebus was not his source for the information about the dinner. And in effect, then, he confirmed that Anthony Scaramucci is paranoid about Reince Priebus, that he, Anthony Scaramucci, is exactly what he accused Reince Priebus of being. Andy Scaramucci is so unprofessional. He was no doubt not aware that he was saying all of this on the record. Ryan Lizza says there is a recording of all this, which we can only hope we are allowed to. Andy Scaramucci attributed this fault to Rice Priebus. Let me leak the effing thing and see if I can block these people the way I blocked Scaramucci for 6 months. Rice Priebus did everything he could to prevent the Trump administration from suffering the invasion of Anthony Scaramucci. Scaramucci is right about that. Rice Priebus did try to block him from working in the White House. The paranoid Scaramucci, who knows nothing about government, said that the leaking of his financial disclosure documents with the government was a felony that he called the FBI to investigate. Those documents were not leaked. They were public information, and nothing about obtaining those documents could ever be leaked. Scaramucci told Ryan Lizza, what I want to do is, I want to effing kill all the leakers, and I want to get the president's agenda on track so he can succeed for the American people. Like President Trump, he occasionally speaks of himself in the third person, and in this instance, used his nickname, The Mooch. Okay, The Mooch showed up a week ago. This is going to get cleaned up very shortly, okay? Because I never the digital fingerprints on everything they've done through the FBI and the effing Department of Justice. They're going to get prosecuted probably for the felony. Because Anthony Scaramucci is a wild liar, there is no way of knowing whether he has any digital fingerprints of anything or whether he's communicated with the FBI about leaks in the White House. Of course, it is against the rules of the White House for Anthony Scaramucci to communicate with the FBI about any investigation. But he wouldn't know. He expressed his superiority to Steve Bannon this way. I'm not Steve Bannon. I'm not trying to do things to my own. I'm not trying to build my own brand off the effing strength of the president. I'm here to serve the country. But he has to sell his company first. And that sale to the Chinese has to be approved by the Committee on Foreign Investment. And if the Committee on Foreign Investment blocks the sale, there is only one person who can overturn the ruling of the Committee on Foreign Investment, and that is the President of the United States. President Trump actually goes ahead and puts Anthony Scaramucci on the taxpayer-funded payroll of the White House. He will be showing us once again that he does not have the judgment to carry out the duties of the President of the United States. The Scaramucci story is tonight the story of presidential judgment. Donald Trump has seen what Anthony Scaramucci has said, and so far we have every indication that the President has accepted all of it. Accepted what Anthony Scaramucci has said, has no problem. Any other president would have banned Anthony Scaramucci from the White House today. Any mayor would have banned Anthony Scaramucci from City Hall, from Town Hall. No one with any executive judgment would want a person like Anthony Scaramucci on his team. And if the president says tomorrow that Anthony Scaramucci will not be working in the Trump administration, then, and only then, will we find out just how much the Chinese really do value Anthony Scaramucci's company. What they terrible to buy Anthony Scaramucci's company if he does not have influence in the Trump administration. This is a pass-fail moment on presidential judgment. Get rid of Anthony Scaramucci and you pass, keep him on, and you fail. If the president knows what's good for him and his White House, not to mention the country, the taxpayer, he will send the mooch back to where he came from. But Donald Trump has never been very good at knowing what's good for his presidency or the country. Coming up, the Obama White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest and George W. Bush White House speechwriter David Fallon join us after a break.
Any last words?
Ah, so many missed little putts. Damn it.
Look now at JNPG.com.
I love you, Basic Guest Bathroom. Your privacy makes you my number one place to go number two. I love you, but sometimes you stink. New Breeze Air Effects with odor clear technology cleans away odors like never before. The things you love the most can stink. And try to create small spaces to clean away odors for up to 30 days. Breathe happily with Breeze.
Big car. Just want to find a used car without getting ripped off. Just start Carfax. Show me the Carfax. Get the most accurate price based on price history. Just look at all the great deals. Thanks, buddy. Look, start our used car search deal in Carfax.com. What's your multi-wheel super sales is going on now?
This is the derogation of the presidency. This is where we have come to. None of us have ever seen this. The reason is that it is not to be done. That kind of language is not to be done. Particularly when it's infighting in the White House. The fact that the president allowed all this to go on, I think, means that it rests with him.
Yes, now, Josh, you're just one of the White House press secretary for President Obama. He's also announced some other lines to go from secretary for the Atlantic. And Josh, since you worked in the White House Communications Office, and masterfully, I might add, I just want to go to you with a wide open your reaction to this story.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's significant to see tonight. Look, I think you covered a lot of it at the top. One of the things that we know about Anthony Scaramucci is he got this job because he was viewed as a person. That's when he was really good on cable TV. And with all due respect to people who were really good on cable TV, that is not an automatic direct translation to being a good White House communications director. Being a communications director at the White House means having judgment. It means having some self-awareness. It means having discipline. It also means having some sophistication when it comes to dealing with reporters. And what's clear after this New Yorker story is that Anthony Scaramucci doesn't have any of that. And it does make clear that by continuing to employ him, that after 6 months, President Trump still hasn't figured out that running the White House is different than running his family's real estate business.
I want to take a look at the cover of page 1 of tomorrow's New York Post, and we have it very graphically. And this is a very, very, very important cover because this is the first negative New York Post coverage of the Trump presidency, the first one ever, and that is brought to you by Anthony Scaramucci. He is the one who has created the imagery that the New York Post is using on its cover of this out-of-control White House with people attacking each other the way they do on Survivor, that reality show. And David Frum, this is a newspaper that's fully supportive of the president all the time. They don't appear to be supportive of this behavior. And I'm wondering, as we always do in these moments, what about Trump supporters? What about when they hear the way Anthony Scaramucci talks, especially some of the religiously conservative Trump supporters out there?
Well, they meet a lot of
allowances. In many ways, perversely, Anthony Scaramucci may be helpful to the president with their supporters because of the title that Anthony Scaramucci carries. It would make it easier to say that the Trump administration has a communications problem. Anthony Scaramucci was brought in to try to fix the problem. Okay, he didn't succeed. We still have a communications problem. The Trump administration does not have a communications problem. He wants to believe that. The president wants to believe it because he watches so much television. He also wants to believe it because it's always thought it was the easiest thing to fix. But it is the thing communicated. You can have the worst communication shop in the world. If you have peace and 3.5% growth, you don't have any problems. You can have the best communication shop in the world, looking for a Russian espionage investigation and a health care bill that carries 17% public approval. Your communications people can't fix it. And that's the thing the Trump administration is struggling with.
Josh, we have reports tonight indicating that the president authorized Anthony Scaramucci to go to attack Reince Priebus any way he wanted, including going up.
Hello, baby.
Hi, honey.
Yeah,
I'm recording, so don't do anything weird. I'm not playing against anybody, though.
But in some ways, it's not surprising. It's really consistent with the way, frankly, that he and his administration are treating the Attorney General right now. Which
Never know when
is
she's
that
gonna
the President of the United States really doesn't have the guts to actually fire people who work for him. What he does is he hopes that these people will be so publicly offended that they will quit their jobs. That is no way to run a White House. It certainly is no way to run the greatest country in the world. But it might be the way that you run your favorite real estate business. And, after 6 months, we were counting on our president to start understanding more about what his job actually entails. And what's true is you want your communications director out there telling the story about what you're trying to get done on behalf of the American people. Right now, you have Anthony Scaramucci out there mostly talking about himself, talking about his own personal financial disclosures, and talking about his own personal grievance with the White House chief of staff. If he's not telling the president's story, the only people who are the president's critics. And look at David's right that even if you are dealt a good hand, you can manage with a poorly run communication shop. But there's nobody in America, including the president himself, who thinks that he's playing a good hand right now.
So Anthony Scaramucci has explained it all in a tweet tonight saying, I made a mistake in trusting in a reporter. It won't happen again. That's from things as a mistake was.
Well, White House communications directors shouldn't report trust reporters, and if they do, that's not an excuse. That actually makes the problem worse. What we're watching here, as we watch Scaramucci, is the attempt to fire, as Josh said, the Reince Priebus. I was reading today of the nastiest previous firing of the chief of staff, and that was the firing of Don Regan in the Reagan administration. First Lady Nancy Reagan thought that Don Regan was just serving President Reagan in a number of ways, and she then conducted a campaign in the press that led ultimately to Regan's firing / resignation. But the reason she did that was because the president wanted to keep him. We have never seen before the president acting the part of the First Lady, and not refusing to fire the person who he has the most authority over. It would be easiest to fire him. I mean, he is the chief of staff. He's not a cabinet secretary. He's not an attorney general. He has to be confirmed by the Senate. The next chief of staff doesn't have to be confirmed by the Senate. Donald Trump is taking the Nancy Reagan part, and that is really strange.
Yes. The tweet that he's issued, I made a mistake in trusting in a reporter. It won't happen again. It's a wonderful tweet because if he's saying he made a mistake in trusting in a reporter to do what? Not report that he said those things? And if it was his intent to not have those exact words reported and attributed to him, that means he was calling Brian Lizzie to leak to him. And this is the guy who's saying, I want to kill all the leakers.
Yeah, this is the guy who claims that the leaking is the biggest problem in the White House, and apparently he is one of the foremost purveyors of that conduct. One of the other things that reveals Mr. Scaramucci's naivete about his job is that he entered the office, and even in this, and he told Mr. Elizabeth he was planning to fire everybody in the communications shop if they didn't come clean about their history of leaking. We had an expression actually in the Obama White House about this, that every once in a while people would accuse the communications operation of leaking. That didn't happen very often, those accusations. And our response actually was, there were one of my colleagues in the White House who had this response, which was pretty apt, which is the reason that people in the communications shop typically don't leak is the same reason that janitors typically don't vandalize the bathroom, because they know they're going to have to clean up the mess.
Right. David, both of you served in the White House. David, you were Republican White House. Josh, Democratic White House. I just want you to talk for a moment about the honor of serving in the White House, what it feels like, and what it feels like to see a presidency come along and try to hire someone like Anthony Scaramouche.
Well, one of the ways that the White Houses work is not just with loyalty to the president, but with loyalty among the various staffers. When I went to the Bush White House, Brian Wilson was then not the international celebrity that he has become tonight, would sometimes call me. We had a pre-existing friendship, and in the 6 months after 9/11, when there was an absolute edict against anyone talking to the press for any reason, whether they were your friend or not, we would talk about family, and that would be the end of the conversation. I wouldn't talk to him. And I did that not because I had anything so interesting to share, but because I had loyalty to my colleagues and cared about them, and I felt that they cared about me.
And that's, Josh, I assume you echo that feeling, the collegial feeling, the in this together feeling that the White House is supposed to have, and usually does.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, one of the benefits that President Obama took with him into office, and David and his colleagues and his boss will benefit from this too, is that many of us worked together for more than a year, in some cases 2 years, on the campaign, which meant that we had spent a lot of time working together already. We were also deeply personally invested in the campaign, in the agenda, and in the president. And that sense of loyalty and that collegiality and unity did override any sort of human temptation to want to rat out your colleagues. And that kind of discipline and cohesion served the Obama administration quite well. And look, I didn't support President Bush when he was in office, but it served he and his team quite well throughout his presidency as well, because he exercised the kind of leadership and unified his staff around the agenda and the vision that he had for the country. And yes, the country runs better when you have somebody in charge who does that.
Josh Ernest, who served in the last White House Communications Office, where decency was the norm. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Josh. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Deb Frank, please stay with us when you usually us in the segment. Coming up, Lindsey Graham. Senator Lindsey Graham is now warning the president against firing Attorney General Jeff Sessions. And we have breaking news on the health care votes in the Senate tonight. We're now hearing the health care bill. Mitch McConnell hopes to vote on hearing what they might be going to do overnight.
The Infiniti QX60. Impressive performance and seating for Senate. Right now, lease the QX60 for $439 a month at your local Infiniti retailer.
I really like this hotel room, and I'd like to book it. With Trivago, I can book it here, here, or here. And it's also good to know that if I book it here, I pay the lowest price for this hotel room. Hotel? Trivago.
New Charmin Ultra Soft is softer than ever, so it's harder to resist. Okay, this is getting a little weird. Enjoy the go with Charmin. My belly pain and constipation, I could build a small city with all the over-the-counter products I've used, and now
I've tried enough laxatives to cover the eastern seaboard.
I've climbed Mount Everest with fiber.
Probiotics? Enough.
If you've had enough, tell your doctor what you've tried and how long you've been at it. Differently from laxatives, Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. It can help relieve your belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements that are easier to pass. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Don't take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor about managing your symptoms proactively with Linzess. breast cancer, others can't. I create a biotech revolution with smart cancer drugs. I speed life-saving discoveries to life. I am a miracle of science with soul, and I live in City of Hope.
My proof is all over the place. Drug test is clear. You got everything except for why. You didn't try to stop it. Mind plays tricks. See things that aren't there. Tell us anything, whatever you can.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has just released an outline of the bill, the next bill he is going to ask senators to vote on the Senate floor, possibly later tonight, on health care, calling it the Health Care Freedom Act. It is the so-called skinny bill. It would repeal the individual mandate, repeal the employer mandate. It would repeal the medical device tax. It would increase health savings account contributions. And that is essentially what has been referred to as the so-called skinny bill, what the Republicans are calling the lightest version of repealing Obamacare and replacing it with this. Republican senators who are considering voting on this have demanded that the House of Representatives, Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, promise them that the House will not pass this very same bill, even if the senators do vote for it, because the senators are hoping this bill will never become law. The United States Senate has never been here before, voting on a bill that they don't want to become law. Today, Paul Ryan issued a statement in response to those senators saying he was willing to have a conference committee on the health care bill, but he did not promise it. Minutes ago, though, some senators said they have received personal assurances from Paul Ryan that he would convene a conference committee so that the House and Senate could negotiate over the health care bill and produce a bill different from the Senate bill. The only way to have a conference committee is that each body must pass a bill, and then those two bills are brought together in a conference, and usually a compromise between the two bills is struck. Today, Paul Ryan points out the big flaw for the Senate, in the Senate plan, saying, quote, repealing and replacing Obamacare still ultimately requires that the Senate produce 51 votes for an actual plan. In other words, he's not impressed if they pass a plan that they don't actually want. They have to pass one that they are actually willing to support. Now, normally, the House members of a conference committee arrive with the bill passed by the House, and they say, this is the bill that we want to pass. We want the Senate to agree to this. And then the Senate members arrive with the bill passed by the Senate, and they say, this is the bill we want to pass. We want you in the House to agree to this. And then they spend some time trying to work out a compromise between those two bills. But this time, the Senate will arrive at the conference, if there is one, with the bill and say, we absolutely don't want to pass the Senate bill. And they will say, we absolutely don't want to pass the House bill. And Paul Ryan knows that the conference committee will not be able to do a better job of trying to figure out what can pass the Senate than Mitch McConnell has done. And Mitch McConnell hasn't found anything that can pass the Senate. Back with us is David Frum, also joining us now, Neera Tanden, president of the Center for American Progress. She was an advisor in the Obama administration on the Affordable Care Act. Neera, your reading of the state of play tonight.
Well, first of all, they did just release the legislative language for the quote-unquote skinny repeal. So, and now they're saying they would like to vote on it in the next few hours. So let me just say to the American people, they have a bill that will affect the healthcare, the entire healthcare system is going to affect health insurance premiums that has been available to the public maybe for 2, 3, 4 hours before they vote on it. But that's not the most unusual thing. The most unusual thing is that Republican after Republican said today, as you noted, that they are opposed to this bill. They are voting for a bill that they say themselves, Lindsey Graham said himself, will raise premiums. But he's voting to get it to a conference that Paul Ryan, in his release, did not actually say would occur. He may have a conference, but he did not guarantee a conference. Some of have personal assurances. This is the most Kafkaesque situation I've ever seen. I've never seen the Senate operate this way. I've never seen the Congress operate this way. They are flouting every rule every procedure in order to, I guess, meet the political needs of their party at the expense of possibly 16 million people losing health insurance next year and in the years to come.
Yeah, the Senate simply has never operated this way. They'll be doing this without a CBO score on this. Let's listen to what Senator Graham said earlier about this bill, that he's now, he said that he's going to vote for because Senator Graham is one of the people who says he's received a personal assurance from Paul Ryan that they will have a conference about this after the Senate votes on it. Listen to Senator McCain talking about, Senator Graham talking about the bill that he is now prepared to vote for.
The skinny bill as policy is a disaster. The skinny bill as a replacement for Obamacare is a fraud. The skinny bill is a vehicle to get in conference to find a replacement. It is not a replacement in of itself. The policy is terrible.
David Frum, it sounds like Senator Graham is writing the attack ads for Democrats in the next campaign.
Right, and he's also trusting Paul Ryan to not do what the thing that Nero is pointing to, which is to take the skinny bill and then pass it through the House, which is how the original Affordable Care Act passed. Democrats then had a Senate bill they did not love, but they were going to change the balance of power in the Senate, and so they simply passed the Senate bill as the closest thing they could get. Paul Ryan has a problem, and as does Lee McConnell, which is they started this rare opportunity of 2 years of United Republican control with a bucket of minutes. And they've spent about a quarter of that bucket. If you think the election starts in September rather than November, maybe they've spent closer to a third of the bucket of minutes, and they haven't done anything. They sort of done the tax since the water. So knowing the unforgiven clock, knowing that a recess is supposed to happen on the 31st of July, what would Paul Ryan do to get to the things he really wants to do, which are tax and other measures? It would make the most time from sense from the point of view of managing his time simply to usher this thing through, think about it, and then to enjoy the tax benefits and the gratitude of Republican Democrats.
Mayor Taylor, I know you have experience with conference committees in the Congress. I worked on a bunch of conference committees in the Congress when I was working in the Senate, and so I was amused today to see Senator McCain, Senator Graham falling for this idea of getting a promise from the Speaker of having a conference. That's all they wanted. What they don't seem to understand, they certainly don't have enough experience with this particular area of legislation to understand, that you can have a conference. The conference committee can meet from the House and the Senate, and in very short order, the House of Representatives can just say, upon conferencing, we accept the Senate bill. And just take up the Senate bill after the conference, whether the conference is 5 minutes or 5 days, just take the Senate bill and pass it.
Absolutely. And also, they've just given up all their leverage. The Senate has no leverage after all of them say they don't like their own version of the bill. So that in any conference, they really have no power to dictate terms. So, I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous that we're in the precipice of voting for a bill no one has seen until minutes ago, with no real plan of what will happen here on in. But let me just say a few things. A bunch of Republican senators have said things that this bill contravenes from the right and the left. Shelley Mark-Capito said she did not come to Congress to do harm. This bill will raise premiums and eventually lose coverage. And Senator McCain, Mike Lee, a bunch of senators have made statements about this that will be violated by this law and by this proposal that they vote against.
Yeah, we haven't heard yet from Senator McCain on this latest version that's been released, but if he's going to be consistent with that dramatic speech he gave the other day, he has no choice but to vote against it, but we'll see what he does. Mayor Taylor and David Frum, thank you both for joining us on the show. Coming up, Republicans are now warning the president against firing the Attorney General, and including, Lindsey Graham has a new idea about how to prevent the president from firing a special prosecutor.
The tornado doesn't just get the sword, it goes to the center.
The Cold War spy culture seems to be making a comeback.
Join him for a special series on assignment with Richard Engel. This week, he reports from Moscow with an exclusive interview with Gene Kaspersky, whose cyber company has been accused of being an arm of the Russian government.
Does your company communicate or cooperate with the intelligence services?
And he explores Russia's cyber threat to America on assignment with Richard Engel, tomorrow at 9 on MSNBC.
You're not taking these.
Hey, you're not taking those. Whoa, you're not taking them.
You're not taking that.
You're not taking that. I'm not taking that. Mom, I'm taking the Subaru.
Don't be late.
They will keep him safe. Our Subaru Outback Road.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
How did you talk me into this? This is crazy. Horns. What's the horns?
What you don't see can hurt you. If you just monitor your credit, you can miss certain identity theft threats. LifeLock sees more, like your personal information on the dark web. And if there is a problem, we'll work to fix it with our $1 million protection package. LifeLock, all for $9.99 a month.
Today we're finally getting our bathtub redone. We weren't happy with it.
But we didn't want that extra demolition.
For the days without our bathroom. Then a friend told us about Bath Fitter and their unique tub over tub process. There's no demolition, and they install it as little as a day. They also have a seamless wall for a watertight fit. And Bath Fitter has a lifetime guarantee. What a difference. Finally a bathtub I love.
Call today or learn more at bathfitter.com.
The smoother the skin, the more comfortable you are. So find a Venus Smooth that contours to curves, flexes for comfort, and has a disposable made for you. Skin smoothing Venus razors.
I realized that $100,000 was not exactly
103.
Let me ask you guys, how long did it take you to decide that?
Oh, a long time.
And it's
I'm sure you talk to people all the time who think $100,000 is just pocket change.
right now, we're just talking to you.
You told me at first.
Yes, you did. Getting closer to your investment goals starts with a conversation. Schedule a complimentary goal planning session today.
Tired of wrestling with seemingly impossible cleaning tasks? Using wipes in the kitchen and sprays in the bathroom can be ineffective. Try Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Simply add water and use it in your kitchen for burnt on food, in your bathroom to remove soap scum, and on walls to remove scuffs and marks. It erases 4 times more permanent marker per swipe. For an effective multi-surface clean, use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Brand new, helping you buy that.
Tonight, Attorney General Jeff Sessions talked about the recent attacks against him by the president. The president of the United States is a strong leader. He is, I had a lot of criticisms, and he's steadfastly determined to get his job done. He wants all of us to do our jobs, and that's what I'm going to do. The Attorney General also said this about President criticizing him for accusing himself from the Russia investigation. I understand his feelings about it because this is going to be a distraction for him. But Tucker, I talked to experts in the Department of Justice, people who are trained in that. I'm confident I made the right decision. I started with pleasure. He's the most tremendous things he was going to do. So Jeff Sessions told me in the press today that he will stay on the job and that quote, it hasn't been my best week for my relationship with the president. To a not spoken recently, he said, but I look forward to the opportunity to chat with him about it. This week, Jeff Sessions' former colleagues in the Senate have been coming to his defense. Here's Senator Lindsey Graham said today.
If Jeff Sessions is hired, there will be wholly illegal pay. Anywhere could go after Mueller, could be beginning with the inside the Trump presidency. Unless Mueller did something wrong. This is not draining the swamp. Police interjecting is turning democracy upside down.
Ron Klain and former federal prosecutor Paul Butler was asked after the break.
The best idea is solve the problems. My problem, like a lot of others, I couldn't find a shirt that looked good on me. So this became my passion. And it's not a shirt, it's a passion for perfect balance between right and fit. Easy to say, not a good word, don't need design changes.
And the specialty recipes from nutrition are recipes that ingredients feel good.
Bad timing. Bad timing. Bad timing.
This shit John was exactly that goal. Saving me lots of time and money. Hotel, John.
Setting a chart about what's clear. Introducing flow like that. Most active security like the HD camera. With flow cameras and stop right before protecting your home has never been easier.
I'm working on legislation that I want to introduce next week. Republicans and some Democrats. And get all the Democrats out there. I'm going to get a number of Republicans that said no. A special counsel cannot be fired when they were impaneled to investigate the president or his team unless you have judicial review of the fire. Not just for Trump, but for any future president. We need a check and balance here.
James Paul Butler, law professor at Christian University of Harvard last year, and Ron Clay is back with Ron. You served on the Senate Judiciary Committee where that bill Lindsey Graham's talking about would have to originate. What are the prospects for a bill like that are now?
Well, I think it's hard to say. I mean, we saw less Senate Republicans speak out the personal loyalty to Jeff Sessions and outraging about the president's humiliation of General Sessions. But we haven't really seen the Republicans step up and defend the rule of law. That's really what's at stake here. The president attacked Jeff Sessions for obeying the law and refusing himself. He attacked Jeff Sessions for not launching a politically based prosecution against Hillary Clinton. And the Republicans say, we love Jeff Sessions, please keep Jeff Sessions around. We want others to join Lindsey Graham to really try to ensure that the rule of law prevails here. I think sadly that's still a good question.
And Paul, we are seeing a real change of tone this week with Republicans in the Senate, and it all begins with the president attacking a recent Republican senator. Once he attacked Jeff Sessions, the Republican senators finally began to find their voice.
Yeah, so what President Trump values in an attorney general is not someone who's committed to equal justice under the law or the rule of law. But that's what he valued. He would never have chosen Sessions in the first place. Sessions is going to take us back to the Stone Age in terms of the administration of justice. Trump was somebody who will obstruct the Russia investigation. He said that's his big beef with Sessions, that he's not playing, he didn't pledge that loyalty. So now he wants an attorney general who will, if Sessions steps aside, he is to name an acting attorney general who can get to the special counsel. And it's true that we're hearing from some Republicans, but we're not hearing from the people we need to, the congressional leaders, Ryan and McConnell. What they need to say is, Mr. Trump, if you fire or get rid of, make resign Sessions, you will be drafting your own articles of impeachment. That's obstruction of justice. And they're not saying that. And so the concern is that he'll do that. Trump will make Sessions leave office and get to Mueller, and the Republicans won't do it.
Ron, what I like about what Paul just said is he actually used legal language, articles of impeachment. And you heard Lindsey Graham today say, you know, if President Trump did that, it would be holy hell. Well, you know, that's religious imagery. There's nothing legal in that phrase. That leaves me wondering, what exactly would you do? What does that mean?
Yeah, what we've seen so far is what the Republicans have done, that outrage after outrage is a big fat nothing. And, you know, and that's the concern I think that Paul's raising, that I agree with. And it is great that Senator Graham says he's going to draft a bill that will have some kind of insulation from removal of the special counsel. But again, it's not clear which Republicans will support that and if they have the votes. And in the meantime, I think the spectacle of the Attorney General going on Fox TV to essentially grovel for his job is a scary spectacle. The president called him weak, he called the president strong, and the question is, will the Attorney General now be cowed into launching some of these prosecutions that Trump wants against leakers, trying to undermine the structure of justice in any way? I mean, I think that's the scary thing. Is Trump's pressure on Sessions having an effect on how Sessions runs the Justice Department?
The Justice Department. What is your impression about what something like this would do to the operations of the Justice Department? And of course, we recognize we've never seen anything like it. Nothing like this happen over the world.
You know, I was so proud to do public corruption prosecution for the Department of Justice, and some of my friends were skeptical. They say, oh, it was political, but it wasn't at all. I served under Republican and Democratic presidents, administrations, and we always said if we had the evidence, we bring the case. The president didn't get involved. Often the Attorney General didn't get involved either. It was career decisions, and now we're seeing a whole politicization or desire by the President of the United States to politicize the Department of Justice, the FBI. He does not understand. The Attorney General does not represent him. The Attorney General's loyalty is to the American people.
Paul Butler and Ron Klein, thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Tonight's last word is next.
Since he's been IQ of 168, the operation of this scale is unprecedented.
He's been outsmarting us the whole time.
Man, aren't you watching an episode of Event on Discovery? Check your local listings and watch on Discovery Go app.
I can tell right away ZipRecruiter is going to make hiring a lot easier. Go to ZipRecruiter.com and post to our 100 job boards with one click. Then easily select the best candidates from one list. Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/star.
One laugh, and hello, sensitive bladder. Ring a bell? Then you have to try Always Discreet. I didn't think protection this thin could work. But the super absorbent core turns liquid to gel for incredible protection. So it's out of sight and out of mind. Always Discreet for bladder leaks. I discovered an incredible bladder compound that hugs every curve.
Oh, I got so lucky again.
Can you?
God damn.
Always Discreet underwear for
What am I
bladder
doing
leaks.
with this club?
If you
Why
have
am I still
moderate to
hitting it?
severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, and your symptoms have left you with the same view, it may be time for a different perspective. If other treatments haven't worked well enough, ask your doctor about Entyvio, the only biologic developed and approved just for UC and Crohn's. Entyvio works by focusing on the GI tract to help control damaging
I've been home like
It's clinically
usual.
proven to begin helping many patients achieve both symptom relief as well as remission. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. While not reported with Entyvio, PML, a rare serious brain
doctor if you have an infection, experience frequent infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Liver problems can occur with Entyvio. If your UC or Crohn's medication isn't working for you, ask your gastroenterologist about Entyvio. Entyvio, relief and remission within reach.
Big idea. Will people know it means the lowest price guaranteed on our rooms by booking direct at choicehotels.com? Hey, bada book, bada boom.
Mr. Bada Book, Bada Boom.
Book now at choicehotels.com. Is here, but it's going by fast. The opportunity of the year is back. Mercedes-Benz is here today for incredible once-a-season offers. Start firing up those grills. Lease the GLE 350 for $579 a month at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Tomorrow's headlines before they go to print.
I've just been handed some great reporting.
Tomorrow's questions before anyone's asked them.
Could you make an obstruction case?
I think I could.
Tomorrow's conversation tonight.
Who is there to stand up to the boss and speak truth to power? Not a single person.
The 11th hour with Brian Williams.
Blah, blah, blah.
More than the day that was, it's the day that will be.
How does this end?
The 11th hour, weeknights at 11 on MSNBC.